and Crystal, IQ Queen here.
Yeah,
That's your phrase.
No, that's a lie from the pit of hell. I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. It's your girl Tasha, IQ Queen, ready for another show.
Rebound that lasted too long.
Right? And now you just fucking miserable.
Here, no there.
Hey,
Like, who am I? You know, those are just my opinions. Just like assholes, everyone has them.
Exactly. I'm cool. Listen, depending on how much more out here charging, paying motherfuckers, I'll shame my mama for that money.
I'ma take. You ready to start the show? Young lady.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of IQ Queens. You got your girl Crystal here, and I am accompanied by the lovely...
Hey, it's Tasha here for another episode, coming to bring you some politics, some government, some pop culture, and a little bit of everything else.
Some relationships, some bedroom talk, boardroom talk, all that good stuff, you know?
Yes.
So let's hop right into it. Today's show, we're going to be talking about kind of recapping 2019, you know? 2019 was somewhat of a good year. You had some bad things, some good things.
It was trash.
No, trash? Not trash. Gosh, I mean, trash is tough. I mean, hey. I mean, my year was all right, I think. Kind of, sort of.
My year was trash, right?
Your year was trash, too, Pop?
Yes, of course.
You know what? I ain't gonna lie, my year was kind of trash, too.
Yeah.
It was kind of trash. I had a few struggles. Yeah. I break up at the top of the year.
Ooh. I did too for my job, but
She said for my job. That sound like fire, nigga. That sound like fire, not break. You so wild.
Me and my job had a mutual understanding that I was no longer the best fit.
Hey, that's how you fire people. I fire people like that. Hey, so it doesn't look like you're a good fit. You know, a good fit mean we don't want you here no more. That's pretty much what that means. But either way, we're gonna start off the top of the show with government and politics as always. Government shutdown 2018 is where it started. That's where it started. So the government shutdown started on December 22nd of 2018 and carried into January 25th of 2019. The shutdown lasted for 35 days. Let me break that down to y'all in checks.
Make it happen.
Here's 35 days. That's if you get paid monthly, that's one check. If you get paid bi-weekly.
But who in real life get paid monthly? Who works
military?
No, military get paid on 1st and 15th.
You right.
The 1st and the 15th.
Let me tell you something. This is exactly how much I didn't check my check when I used to be in BC. that goes to show. Like just being how much
I didn't check my check until the day before graduation family day.
I don't even think I checked it then.
The only reason I checked it then is because I had gone and I ran up the whole check by my mom and my little sister. Like I remember my little sister, it was back in the 09. My little sister been in the 7th or 8th grade. She was a super Miley Cyrus fan. And I got her. And she was in the video games, so I bought her a Hannah Montana PSP. Or that, and then at the time I didn't think about it, but I'm like, it was just a regular fucking PSP. It cost like $75 more, and it had fucking Hannah Montana face on that shit.
They be playing.
And I got my mama GPS system. That's how throwback that was before the cell phones had.
She had a Tom Tom.
Girl,
remember the
Tom?
Remember the Tom Tom? But either way, so in checks, that's if you get paid once a month, that's one check. You get paid bi-weekly, that's 2 checks. If you get paid weekly, that was actually 5 freaking checks that you made.
Jesus.
5 checks. That was actually the longest government shutdown in the history of the U.S. And the second for Donald Trump's term.
The second. So you mean tell me you didn't do it not once, but twice?
Yeah, he been like he going big or he going home, or he just trying to fuck up the economy. Either you give me what I want. He was catching a whole tantrum. It's pretty much what was happening.
I mean, he was like, hey, if I don't get my way, nobody get a check.
No, that's exactly how you feel. The government shutdown kept 800,000 people without receiving checks. That's a lot of fucking people without checks, Tasha.
That's absolutely the most ridiculous thing I think I've ever heard in my life.
Like, I mean,
no checks. Like, you know, at the end of the day, there were absolutely some companies who wanted to work with people, but then again, like you said before, you know, there are a lot of, like, you know, small businesses, or like, you know, let's say it's a family that lives in a rented home, and the owner of the home is dependent upon that money to pay the mortgage.
Fact.
Now what?
Exactly. That's the whole problem. But 800,000 employees without
35 goddamn going days.
35 days. One check if you get paid monthly, 2 checks bi-weekly, and 5 checks if you got paid weekly. That's a lot. And the shutdown stemmed from an impasse over Donald Trump's demand for $5.7 billion in federal funding for the Mexico border wall.
Like, listen, Mexico. Never mind.
It said he about to go off because he knew.
I might have been some wild shit. Let me just.
Because he knew that there was no way. First, Mexico ain't paying. First, he hopped out there talking about Mexico's gonna pay for it,
and then Mexico's president was like,
"Fuck y'all.
Y'all can all suck my pee-pee."
Because you crazy as hell if you think for one second.
I'm gonna pay for a goddamn thing.
And this is my thing, right? So here we are. Say we got the funding to build a wall. I don't know if anybody has seen El Chapo and all that. But these motherfuckers ain't going over the wall.
No.
They out here tunneling under the fucking ground. You might as well build something that goes down, because something that comes up from the ground, it ain't gonna keep them out.
Listen, Hispanic people, Mexicans are not gonna stop migrating to the United States.
No,
That's just never going. They're gonna find, like, they're resilient people. Like, I ain't gonna lie, when I take a look at, like, history and things of that nature, I feel like the only people who have not been resilient, but everybody else, you know, you look at Hispanic people, you look at black people, you look at, you know what I'm saying, Asian people, you look at people, you know, East Indian people and things of that nature. We've always been able to take a situation and flip it on its head and make it work. There's only...
Let's jump off a whole bridge first.
Right?
Just saying.
Jumping out buildings because they went bankrupt.
Exactly. The boys do not play when they don't have no money. They don't even know the struggle. They say mayonnaise and bread, that's it? Oh my God.
Like, you ain't never had an egg and rice for dinner.
Not egg and rice.
Like you ain't never had pork and bean and hot dog.
They call that beanie weenie. That's what the boys call that, beanie weenie.
No, it ain't the same. Beanie weenie ain't the same.
Really?
Cause that's that shit. Okay, beanie weenie.
So what you eat? Showboat?
No, I eat Bush's baked beans.
Oh, you bougie with it, huh?
But with my Bush's baked beans, I'm put hot dog in it. I'm put a little bit of pepper, a little bit of onion in it. You know, whoop it up good. You know,
you
put a little bit of sugar to cut the acid. And I'm gonna eat my
you out here giving it the
my
whole
pork
jazz.
bean and rice.
I know that's right. They can't knock none of that.
I mean, you know, I feel like there's certain cultures who understand how to survive regardless.
Exactly.
I feel like there's really in my history of thought one culture who can't survive if it ever came down to it.
And you know what? And I was just thinking about this earlier today. How I think I was like strolling through YouTube or whatever and seeing something about, what's that movie, The Purge.
Yeah.
So you know they have a TV show or whatever, right?
Okay.
And I was like,
I haven't seen the TV show quite yet.
So with the TV show, they pretty much, I think it was the TV show, the movie, whatever. They was pretty much started it in like an all like African American brown people type community or whatever the case is, right? To try and purge the what they thought was the lesser of society or whatever the case is, right? But my thing is, fuck around and cut off all the power to everything. So you can't do nothing. Like all the chips and everything that you have in something, and then see who survive. Then that's the purge. You know what I'm saying? Everything else, you going out there and buying up all these bullets and and doing all this other stuff, that's not the purge. The purge needs to be turn off everything electronic and everything that has to do with power and communication back and forth or whatever the case is, and then see who can get out there and fish or hunt or do all these other things to survive without the technology.
I agree.
Because it's going to come a point where technology and all the things that people are building and tearing down stuff and just destroying the world, All of that stuff needs to come to an end.
Right.
We need a reset. Like, I appreciate technology. Don't get it twisted at all. I appreciate technology and it's cool and everything. But it's the things that we have and the things that we take for granted are some of the main things that are causing the world to fall apart.
I 100% agree. I mean, I look at social media nowadays and what it was back in the day or whatever versus like what it was now. There's a lot of people who don't read newspapers anymore. You know what I'm saying? Don't do their own research. They get most of their like information from like Facebook posts, and at times those aren't accurate. One of my biggest pet peeves
aren't accurate.
Is when
have you ever seen?
Yeah, like when people post things on Facebook like yesterday that happened 2 years ago, and they're like, "Oh, thoughts and prayers." I'm like, did you even take the time out to read when the fucking article was posted?
Exactly.
Like, you just
not only that, they have so many fake things. Don't try to holler about fake news. But did you see when they tried to kill The Rock? The Wayne The Rock Johnson
and Lil Wayne,
like all types of randomness. Like you try to like. That's not even the real news, but people take that for face value.
Yes.
They look at what's on Facebook or Instagram, or which I don't be on. I'm not on Instagram like that, so I don't really know. But they look at those sites and they take it for face value and just kind of run with it.
And that's and a lot of the time, I won't say 95% of the time, but a lot of the time, they don't even take the time to read the article. They just read the headline and share it.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, you didn't even take the time out to even read what it said. It could have been some whole other shit.
If it is something that has more characters than what Facebook allows you to type in, they're not reading it. And then, because Facebook has already increased the number of characters that you can utilize to type a message, some people don't even read that. If you got to push see more,
shit dead.
Shit, you done. You done. Not gonna see more.
I reposted this thing or whatever. It was like, ladies, you gotta stop asking men for this and that, and thinking that they're gonna take care of you, da da da. And then you had to click see more to read the rest, right? And then it was like, all right, now that all these niggas stop reading it, take them niggas for everything they got. I was like, yes.
Instead of niggas that stop reading now. Let me pop on to the real shit.
Like, let me go ahead and let y'all know what's really up, what's really going on.
That is funny.
But I mean, there's a lot of people who don't like a catchy headline.
That's all they need, and it's done. But either way, going back to the government shutdown, it was the first thing that kind of topped off the new year in 2019. And with the government shutdown, like, they shut down pretty much all government funding things, with the exception of a few things like the Department of Defense, the Department of Labor, the Department of Energy, the Department of Education, and the Department of Veteran Affairs. Everything else under the government umbrella that requires you any funding from the government was shut down. The Department of the State, the Department of the Treasury, the Department of Justice, all of those things, agriculture, commerce, housing and urban development, all of that stuff was shut down. And you know what? Another thing is, with housing and urban development, it's crazy. Like that, I know that time in history, as far as last year, was very trying for people that have apartment complexes that are solely Section 8 housing or something like that.
Or a big portion of Section 8 housing.
Exactly, because now you have all these people that aren't receiving funding for rents and stuff like that. And generally, most of the time, if someone has to pay rent that is outside of the Section 8, it's not a large portion of that rental amount that they have to pay. And I'm trying to figure out, not only does it start affecting people that are government employees, it takes it to the point where now it's affecting civilians.
Right.
And civilian employees, because you have the people that are working at that complex, like leasing agents and managers and stuff like that, maintenance people, and you're like, well, how are they going to get paid? Just based off of the company's reserves or whatever the case is, and that becomes a tough thing. So government shutdowns are definitely not something that we need, and definitely something that we need to keep an eye on. When things like that start coming up, like you have to pay attention to all those things, what a president is willing to do to get what they want, and how it affects other people in the long run of things.
And also something I never really took into consideration or whatever. I spent a good bit of time, in my career in the stacking business, whatever. And a big portion of the staffing business does tend to be government contracts and things from different contractors, where a skilled worker could be making $20+ an hour, and you know what I'm saying, there are certain projects that got shut down during that time frame and shit. When a person is goes to a staffing agency and is paid daily, you don't work, you don't eat.
Yeah, that is tough.
That is
definitely tough. I mean, and the same thing for like people that are receiving like SNAP benefits and stuff. If you receive SNAP benefits through the government, and that's how you feed your kids or whatever the case is, your kids go to a school where they have to take lunch daily.
How you even explain that shit? Like how do you what do you do?
Yeah, so we definitely need to keep an eye on things like that. I think those are characteristics of a president that people need to pay attention to. If someone is willing to shut down the government and put all of these people, like you have so many people that you are pretty much in control of their lives, in a sense, you have a hand on their life in some aspect, and you're willing to shut down the entire government and not be concerned about the ramifications for those things, like you probably don't need to go back in there again at all. You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
I agree.
We need to go ahead
100% agree.
Might won't let you go. Your services are no longer required. per Shawnee O'Neal.
Yo, that shit was so funny. And that bitch was taken aback like, what do you mean?
What do you mean? Bitch, you fired.
And you didn't see that whole, regardless of what they said, you never saw that bitch back on the fucking show again.
She thought she was coming back. She really thought too.
Like that bitch meant that shit when she said your services are no longer required.
No longer required. Bye. But either way, moving on to the next thing. The Democratic candidates.
Woo.
For what
you guessed it.
Listen. When I tell you the absolute most. So
12 candidates as of right now.
Yeah. Like Cory Booker just dropped out.
I feel like everybody who had one maybe become president was like, hey, if any time I'm gonna do it in my life,
now is the time.
I'm surprised Cardi about the Cardi going back to school.
Cardi who? B? To do what, Tasha?
Belcalis. She going to school. Dead ass. She posted a video, whatever. She's going to school to learn more about government, maybe get a degree in government, something like that. And then she was run for Congress. That's what Cardi had seen.
I like Cardi B. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Everybody have dreams. Everybody can do what they want to do. I love Cardi B. She's a great artist. I think she's a great person. I love her personality. Moving on to the facts of the matter. The candidates for 2000, what is it? 20? What is it?
Yeah, it'd be 2020 technically.
2020. The president of 2000. I guess it'll be starting in 21, but they'll win in 2020. They originally started with 170 candidates. You know that? That's a lot of people.
I should have put my hat in the ring.
You should have put your hat in the ring. You feel that way? Okay. I agree. I am here to support. I am just a supporter, and I am here to support you.
I feel like Donald Trump set the bar real low. Anybody named Mama can become president.
Anybody. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you know how you what's the thing when you go into the little bar? What's the little dance?
Oh, the limbo.
The limbo. You know
that limbo's so high.
Listen,
and you just walk underneath that shit. No, exactly. No type of nothing.
It's the complete opposite. He got the limbo bar at 12 feet. Anybody can get under this motherfucker at this point. You understand? So for him, yeah, anybody can really say they're gonna go out there and vote. I mean, go out there and participate. They started with like 170 people. They ended up like everyone has to go through little qualifications or whatever the case is. The first debate had 20, like 10 on one stage and 10 on the next stage. It's like 20 people that made it through to the first debate. We are now at like the 7th debate, I want to feel like. And
I didn't even realize that you had to raise a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
Before, like, in order to be on the debate stage.
Absolutely. So they have different paths that they can take when it comes to being on the debate stage. They can either break 1% and 3 polls for pollsters approved by the Democratic National Committee, or the DNC as they call it, or they can tally 65K in unique campaign donors with at least 200 donors in 20 different states.
And the reason why, honestly, that upsets me low-key is because it puts some candidates in a position to where they have to get the corporate donorship in order to be on that stage.
And that was something that I was wondering. Like, when I looked up the information to see what qualifies them, they have the 200 donors, right? Like, okay, so the 65,000 donors in all, that's what they have to get, and then the 200 in the 20 different states or whatever the case is, right? But do all of those donors need to be, like, can they be individual people that's just donating to their campaign? Like, it didn't have that information. It didn't give me that information.
From my understanding, yes, but
I don't see how that would be hard, though.
It is hard, especially
when you ask people for their money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some people ain't about to put up their money.
And I wonder if. So I'm thinking, like, you remember when Barack Obama ran, and he got a lot of donations, just small donations from people. Like, do you think those donations count towards those numbers? Like,
no, because when I take a look at the candidates who, besides Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren or whatever, all the other candidates who pledge not to take corporate donor money, the majority of them, like, have unfortunately dropped out. Kamala Harris, at first she didn't say she was going to, whatever, but then again, she turned around and said no, she won't take corporate donor money. She's dropped out. Cory Booker, the same thing. Oh gosh, there's been so many people who dropped out because they can't take donor money. And yes, people just sending small amounts of what they can is great, but it's not enough to allow them to be on the debate stage.
Yeah.
And, like, in a lot of countries or whatever besides the United States, first of all, I definitely think we should repeal the Glass-Steagall, because it pretty much just makes corporations people. Or whatever, to where, like, they have a voice. So when they donate millions of dollars, it's called freedom of speech or whatever.
Exactly.
In reality, it's not. You're buying candidates.
Exactly.
Or whatever. And then, what I'm saying, a lot of other countries, their presidential races and things of that nature
are publicly funded.
Yeah. And I think that's important. It should be publicly funded to where they don't have to worry about getting donorship from anybody.
Exactly.
They should just be able to run on their own merits and beliefs.
Exactly. I agree with that.
If I was a millionaire and I gave a candidate if I gave a candidate $3 million, right? I have an expectation of return on my money.
Absolutely.
You need to do something to protect me.
What is my ROI?
Exactly.
My return on my investment.
Exactly.
I need to know what that is. Because if I'm out here giving you all this money, then clearly one hand washes the other when it comes to things like that. And that's what they're looking for. Something where it's one hand washes the other. And a lot of the candidates that have, like you said, haven't taken donor money have fallen off. You have, like, Cory Booker. He just dropped out, like, recently on the 13th. Marianne Williamson. Now, I'm going to tell y'all right now, when they portrayed her on the debates and stuff like that, she seemed real kooky. But out of all the candidates, she was one of the candidates that I wanted to vote for. Because what she stood for, she was the only now, we have Cory Booker was up there,
right,
and Kamala Harris, two black people, right? But I feel like when it's a black candidate, they have to kind of toe the line so that they don't seem too pro-black or whatever the case is. She was
like, they can't be out here like on some Black Lives Matter shit. They can't say that out loud.
Marianne Williamson was the only one that brought up the conversation about reparations. And when I tell you, she was so well spoken about the situation and pointing out facts about other nations and other groups of people that have been kind of displaced and taken advantage of, and them receiving reparations, and us being the only group of people as African Americans that have not received reparations for anything, like, she was definitely one of the top people on my list as far as voting for. I definitely wanted to hear more things from her when it came to like foreign policies and stuff like that. But as far as just things in the black agenda, like, I was all for her. And she just fell out the 10th of this month. Jeez. Like, she just got out of the race. And I was Googling, I was like, is there a way for her to get back in the race?
No.
Like,
once you officially drop out, I don't think you can go back in.
I'll do a car wash or something, you know?
But, like, you know what I'm saying? When I look at certain things, I know I'm a huge Bernie supporter because I respect Bernie Sanders. Yes, he's a Democratic socialist or whatever, and a lot of his socialist views I definitely agree with, like free healthcare for all, free tuition for all, or whatever. And then I look at his record, like when I look at his voting record throughout the years he's been in government, in my opinion, he's always voted on the right side of the situation, whereas, to be honest with you, when I look at the other candidates, I can't say the same. Yeah. Like when I look at LGBT rights and things of that nature, I feel like a lot of people, a lot of these candidates apologize now and say, oh, I have a different view, I have a different belief. In my heart, I believe the reason why they have a different view and a different belief is because it's not acceptable, quote unquote, anymore. Yeah. For them to be so close. Right. But if it were, they would be. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? And that's problematic for me. Whereas Bernie Sanders fought for black, like, he didn't have to. Yeah. He's a white cisgender man or whatever. He did not have to fight for anybody's rights but his own. And to be honest with you, he didn't really have to put up a fight for that. But the fact that he fought for African American rights and civil rights and things of that nature. He fought for gay rights for the longest time or whatever. He fought for transgender rights and equality and things of that nature. I can't negate those things. Yes, he's an older guy, but let's be honest, he's only a year older than fucking Joe Biden. This is true. But I mean, okay, so Joe Biden, he's like out the race to me. He's just a regular old white guy that just now, don't get me wrong, I'll say this about Joe Biden, which I didn't know until maybe about a year ago. He's the person who went through and started the trial and prosecution for Clarence Thomas or whatever. He was a part of the council that started that issue and was there for Lord, I apologize, I cannot remember the young lady's name who put the accusations towards Clarence Thomas at the time. Well, I mean, and that might be a positive thing. He's a whole prevert. That might be that is a positive thing. Yeah. I want to call him a Chester. You know what I'm saying? That is a positive thing. But my only thing with him, I don't connect with him. I don't eat. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I don't feel like anytime that I've watched the debates, right? And they ask Joe Biden a question, I feel like it comes off like, have you ever had an old like grandparent or somebody old in your family that you say something to and they always say some shit that's like off the wall? You'd be like, what the hell are they talking about? Like, can we just are we on this? Did you just hear the question? Like, that's how I feel like any conversation with him is. Like, it's always, I don't know, it's just never on point for me. When I'm gonna be honest, when I look at Joe Biden, right? So you know how like, and if you can't take care of your teeth, you can't take care of the country. Joe Biden does not have the best teeth. All I'm gonna say is this, right? So, my opinion, you know how like a lot of times like white people who say like racist shit, they always say, oh, but my best friend is black. That is who he is. That's how I feel. That is who he is. That's the type of guy. He just seems to me like he's the like, and that's why like I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like, yes, I did vote for Hillary Clinton, but I begrudgingly voted for Hillary Clinton because I feel like that bitch wasn't really like one. At the end of the day, white women are the most protected class in the fucking United States. Facts. Or whatever. And with white women being the most protected class, they feel very entitled. Yes, they do. And I feel like that's the aura I got from her. So I voted for her because she was the lesser two evils. But like, I don't know if y'all seen the meme of Ghost and Tasha when Ghost had pushed Tasha in the forehead. That's how I felt when vote for that bitch. Like, I was like, man, here you go, bitch. You know, it's the goddamn vote. But you know what I'm saying? Like I did it not wholeheartedly or whatever, and then she had the audacity, the unmitigated gall to turn around and pretty much blame the African American community for why she didn't fucking win, when it was just the fact that, bitch, we saw through your bullshit.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I think I will say this. I didn't like that when she was running. I didn't like that people put her husband views on her.
I agree.
Like, I think that was kind of
but she made, there's certain statements that she made herself, and I don't know, maybe it's because you know, her husband's presidency, whatever. Like, she called, like, let's be honest, like, you know what I'm saying, with you having two sons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, she called them out to be like predators or whatever, and yes, her husband was a proponent of the 3 strikes, you're out,
yeah,
you know, in the judicial system, but she was a very big advocate of it at the time or whatever. So it was tough to, you know what I'm saying, to really see that, and the fact that she didn't want to walk it back really or whatever. And I don't know, like, to be honest with you, when I look at Hillary Clinton, I feel like they sat down when she was running against Barack Obama, and it was like, hey, it's Barack's time. Once he's done his 8 years, you can come in and you can take the presidency. And she felt entitled, like most white women tend to feel entitled.
Let me tell you something. In the country, when that whole thing happened, I will say this. Even me, and, you know, in my vote, I think we were so arrogant with the fact that we thought that she was going to win.
Right.
Like, I legitimately went out, cast my ballot, came home, cooked my kids dinner, gave them a bath, fed them dinner, put them in bed, and I started watching a little bit of it. Promise you, I went to sleep. Biggest fucking mistake of my life.
I didn't even watch it because I'm like, okay,
we gonna win. I already know, because the arrogance. Right. Like, we were so arrogant, and we were so, like, in the mindset of Donald Trump being such a buffoon. You're like, well, he's not gonna. There's surely, you know.
I'll say this.
And the next morning, you woke up and you thought for sure you were still dreaming.
Here's what I'll say. I believe happened there. Okay. I don't mean any disrespect to any of our listeners in any way, shape, or form. Okay. But I feel like there's a lot of white women who lied. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of Caucasian men who lied. Mm-hmm. And other races who lied. Who, to this day, they will never tell you that they voted for Trump.
Yeah.
But when you're in that ballot box,
you by yourself.
You by yourself, and nobody know what you decide.
Exactly.
On. And I feel like that's what swayed the vote, is that we didn't know that. Mm-hmm. People weren't honest. There were certain people who stood out and protested and A, B, and C, and voted for him.
But they couldn't wait to get in there and push that button.
Push that damn Trump button.
Here slavery go again.
Fuck them niggas.
Exactly how they felt. Exactly.
Fuck them niggas. They had the whole coon in office for 8 years. Putting a cracker back.
Exactly. Ooh, you know that. You know that. You know that. That's exactly.
I apologize to any of our listeners who may be offended. I didn't mean to say cracker. I apologize.
You know exactly. That's kind of how the whole situation
Absolutely.
went. Like, so many people came. Like, I think, you ever seen that show Off the Grid?
No, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Like, when people live off the grid and they live in, like, I don't know, like houses that have all these solar panels, and they don't do anything to be found, in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, they're just out in the wilderness or whatever. All those motherfuckers came to vote.
Yep.
All of them came to vote. They was like, hey, I think somebody's out here getting ready to promote slavery again. We going to the White House. We going to vote. We gonna go vote. And they was out there voting. So, yeah. Democratic debate. We have a lot of people out here that are good.
Still got 12.
12, yeah. 12.
Well, we don't know if all 12 will be on the stage, though.
No, only, so the other night it was only 6 of them that were on the stage. So, yeah, it's only 6 right now that made it through, but 12 all together that are still out there. Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Andrew Yang, Amy,
Andrew Yang is a socialist.
Amy.
I
don't even know how to say her last name. I don't want to mess it up.
I don't want to disrespect no
Michael Bloomberg, that guy. Yeah,
the guy who just decided
Tom
like a couple
Steyer,
years ago
Michael
that
Bryant,
stopping frisk wasn't an issue.
Listen, so all of them, yeah, you have a few people that are still left out there. Some people names don't even ring bells. I just want them to stop wasting their money because your name don't even ring a bell right now. So I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to do. But as far as people that actually stood out in the beginning for me, and not saying that I would definitely vote for them or anything like that. I mean, Marianne Williamson, she definitely had my vote. She not my vote, but I was definitely leaning towards her. You know what I mean? Because she had some strong views on things that would affect me, that would affect my children, that would affect my life. You know. So those things were really important to me. She definitely touched on public funding for the campaigns and stuff, and reparations. And not even reparations is something that needs to. It's a debt that needs to be paid to the African Americans for building this damn country on their backs. At the end of the day, you know what I mean. So I was so for it, you know.
And I feel like reparations would turn around and assist us with like this generational wealth gap that we have. Yeah. In reality, like a Caucasian family, a child is born with about $15,000 to $20,000 or whatever in wealth, whereas the average African American child is born with about $1,500 in wealth, and that's a good family.
Yeah,
and you know, and I feel like reparations would really help bridge the gap.
So let me ask you this, and we're gonna actually discuss this on another show. With some controversial topics, but with reparations, do you think it's beneficial to just say I'm going to give you cash? Like I don't think that's beneficial. I don't think that's going to help me to build wealth. I don't think that's going to change anything.
You know, so I was watching this new show. It comes on HBO. It's called Watchmen. Right? It's based off of a movie and a comic book or whatever. Right? And in their universe, their reality, whatever, if you, because it's based out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, or whatever, and with Tulsa, you know, I don't know if y'all remember, I don't know if people know about the Black Wall Street, but pretty much it was a very affluent African American community. They had their own banking system, their own hospitals, like they were completely self-sufficient. And you know, the poor whites that were in the surrounding areas hated the fact that these African American people were flourishing, so they came in and made some false accusation. It was, you know, shooting. A lot of people passed away and things of that nature, right? So in the show, it comes on HBO, whatever. Like, if you are a descendant of that Tulsa, you know, the Black Wall Street, they cut you a check originally. But then you also do not have to pay taxes for a particular amount of time. So that allows a person to build their own wealth. Yeah. Or whatever. So I would like something like that. Like the way, like, yes, it's a fictitious, you know, TV show, whatever. But if you stop and take a look at it and look at the way, like, I mean, and just the perspective of the situation is very eye-opening. I wish HBO was paying us for the advertisement. But Watchmen is a really good show. It'll definitely give people a different perspective on, you know, and I've read the Watchmen comic books, I've watched the movie and things. It's a different perspective, I guess, is what I'm saying. But the perspective makes a whole hell of a lot of sense, you know, in the long run, especially when it comes to African American people and our plight at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I haven't seen it. I definitely want to watch it now that you said all that. I definitely want to watch it.
Movies.com.
Is it? Oh, I'm not messing with you when you said it. You're so smart.
They didn't hear it.
Oh my goodness. But either way, she definitely had a lot to say about reparations and stuff like that. And I think that's a big part of getting us to where we need to be. Andrew Yang, who had a lot to say about giving everybody $1,000.
Socialist. I ain't gonna lie, I feel like Andrew Yang may be low-key socialist. And people in the United States, yes, it sounds great,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a socialist agenda.
So I feel like this, because of the whole reparations thing, you already have a way where you can pay. Huh?
I wouldn't mind they gave black folks $1,000.
This is what I'm saying. Like, if they do, so in the U.S., right,
Mhm.
we have 329 million people.
Jeez.
There is only 40 million black people per the census.
Not a lot.
This
13%.
Thank you. This is all per the census, right? If you took the $1,000 that he wanted to give to each person, each American that's over the age of 18, and just gave it to African Americans, that's $8,250 a month.
Jesus.
That's how you start. That's how you start making change.
I agree.
That's stimulating the black economy. And stimulating the black economy, I think that black people need to buy black, shop black, participate in black activities. Period.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I absolutely agree, and I ain't even wilding out saying, "Oh, you need to give the black people $8,000 a month, right?"
And then if you do it for the next
African American,
do it for the next 10, 15 years,
we good.
I'm not even much asking you to give it to me.
It'll bridge the wealth gap.
Exactly. Not even saying give it to me for the amount of time that we have been that we were enslaved. No, I'm not asking for all that long time. 10, 15 years, we good.
And when you really think about like slavery, like sometimes I find it would be wild. My granny, right, A to B, she, rest in peace, I miss her like crazy. But you know what I'm saying? Like when I think about it, like her grandmother was a slave. Like that shit isn't that far from removed.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like my grandmother's grandmother was a slave. Like that's not that long ago.
Exactly. I agree.
Or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And with the wealth gap and everything like that, like we it's like we're starting 1,000 feet behind in the race, and then everybody says, "Oh, just pull your bootstraps up and da 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 A, B, and C."
People who ain't never had to.
But we not starting on the same starting line.
Exactly.
You have a head start always. So it definitely gets more difficult. It definitely becomes more frustrating and things of that nature. Like, you know what I'm saying? As far as like children and things of that nature, like
I think the candidates need to pool their ideas and put it into one person, because a lot of them have great ideas for certain things, and I just think they need to pool their ideas and put it into one candidate who they think is going to be the strongest, who they think is the most trustworthy and the most loyal to the party itself, and put that agenda out there. You know what I mean? I know everyone wants to be a part of, everyone wants to be the president or whatever the case is, and
everyone can't be the president.
Everybody can't. But if we can pool, because some of them have really good really good ideas when it comes to their agenda, we just have to kind of work together and make those agendas work, all of those different agendas work in one person, in one party. And I think that's going to help us to kind of get to where we need to be, move forward in the world, and move forward just as a country itself, period.
I mean, I 100% agree with that situation of, you know what I'm saying, like wanting to make it all make sense to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like if we're all on the same playing field, right? We all have the same starting line or whatever. If you fall short, if you can't make it, then that's you know what I'm saying, that's something that's within you. But you can't turn around and tell the black community, oh, well, the reason why you're not successful, the reason why A, B, and C is because you just didn't work hard enough. When
facts,
we're so far behind in the situation. Like, how could you ever? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So,
but I mean,
I agree.
I wish the best to all the candidates. I know who makes the most sense to me and my ideals and what I want and what I want to see. Hopefully that person, pulls forward and becomes the Democratic candidate, but we'll see.
And Democratic primaries are less than 50 days away.
Ooh,
less than 20 days away to register. So remember to get out and do that.
Please go. You can, there's a link on Facebook. A lot of you guys spend a lot of time on Facebook and stuff like that. There's a link on Facebook. There's a link on Snap. There's a link on Instagram to register to vote. Right there. Or whatever. So please register to vote.
Absolutely.
Please get out there and make your voice be heard. By any means necessary. Crystal said, very recently to me, and I never really thought about it until she said it. A lot of people think that their vote doesn't count.
Absolutely.
If your voice didn't count, what'd you say?
And if your vote didn't count, why would they try so hard to suppress that vote?
Exactly.
So,
that made the most sense. Like, I feel like that's something that resonated quite deeply with me personally.
Absolutely.
You know?
Because I mean, like, if your vote didn't count, why would they try so hard to manipulate it, to suppress it, to put all these things in place to make sure that you don't want to come out and vote? Because at the end of the day, guess what? Your vote does matter, and it does make a decision, especially black females. Like, our votes are generally the vote that sways a lot of these elections, and we just have to get out and, you know, make the best choices for us. Make sure we're listening to what the candidates are saying, and they have an agenda for us as black people. We have to get out and vote, period. But on to the next thing that happened in 2019 on our recap.
God.
Let's go ahead and
Takashi. We talking about Takashi?
Takashi said
talking about Daniel?
Damn,
Daniel.
Daniel-san. Daniel-san. Daniel Hernandez.
You out here snitching. Damn, Daniel.
Damn, Daniel. He was actually, they had him like on a RICO charge or whatever the case is. He was first arrested in November of 2018, then turned U.S. government star witness /
he became state evidence. He out here becoming state evidence. But he's a gangster. You out here being state evidence.
In 2019, in September of 2019, he began testifying because he was facing up to life in prison for his alleged involvement with the nine Trey Gangsta Blood.
Yeah, I just want to put it out there. I'm not a gangster in any way, shape, or form. But I'll stand on. I'll put my hand on the Bible and tell a lie for my nigga.
I don't even know how to feel about that. I don't think that should have been said out loud.
My G.
I mean,
if it ever comes down to I need to testify,
I got you, dog.
I definitely tell a lie.
I'll definitely
straight face.
It is.
And then be offended if somebody call me a liar.
So you trying to say I'm lying?
So you call me a liar?
You
trying to make it seem like my mama ain't raised me right? So now you disrespected my mama, and now I'm offended.
Goddamn, man. Goddamn.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I just want to be honest about the situation.
So back in September, Takashi been out there snitching. Telling on everybody.
I was stressed out there.
Takashi been out there telling on Swiper.
Whole hard shit I ain't did. I did back in G.
Takashi been telling on Swiper. Takashi been telling on Waldo. He done tell where to find Carmen San Diego.
Girl.
He been out there telling on some of everybody. You understand? I almost started to tell people that I use my mama food stamp card. Like, this one been out there telling on everybody. He had no problem telling on nobody and his damn self.
And you know the most ridiculous part of the whole situation? That young man, Daniel, sat up on the people's stand and told on everybody named mama. And then got like a $5 million freaking recording deal.
I don't know what type of music this boy gonna record when he get out. Because the last time that it was anything, the people
gospel.
That's what he better do. That's what he better. He better find his savior while he in there.
He better he better do a remix of Take Me to the King.
Take him to the king. Because the last time he was in there, they told him that he could not say anything that had to do with anything street life, pretty much. Nothing about guns and violence and the gangs or none of that. And that's what his base is. So I don't know exactly what he gonna sing about when he get out here again, and what his I don't even know who see if you can who gave him the recording deal. Cause that's crazy for somebody to even give him a deal knowing that he can't make music like that.
Or Treyway or some shit like that. Like he signed with Treyway.
No, that's who he told on.
Oh, who?
Yeah, so it's some other company that signed him again or whatever the case is. But I think for sure he got way too deep in over his head. He pled guilty to like 9 counts of racketeering, firearm offenses, drug trafficking, all kinds of stuff. Then I think his manager, Shoddy, he got sentenced to like 15 years.
He told on that nigga.
Yeah, because he told on him behind that. He was telling stuff about Jim Jones, Cardi B, like that boy was out there telling everybody everything and did not care. In December on the 18th, he just got sentenced to 2 years in prison, but I don't think he's going to be in there even that long.
I heard he's supposed I think, if I'm not mistaken, in July, he's supposed to get out, because I know he's been in since, like November, December of 2018, so they gave him, like, time served or whatever.
Oh, now he getting out on good behavior.
He need to get out here.
Tell him, ass little boy. So the the company that the label that he's with now is 10K Projects. Yes, 10K Projects.
Okay.
That's what it had. I don't know. So he's a Trippie Redd, some artists that are on the label, Trippie Redd, him, Little Gunner, Icy Narkle, Austin Brown, like people like that, which I don't know. I mean, Trippie Redd is the only one that sounds familiar, but I think he was out there telling on him too. If I'm not mistaken.
I'll be honest with you. If they sign Tekashi to this label, it just discredited every other artist.
It really
to
does.
ever talk about. If you and I here talking about conscious music, or I here, being a gospel rapper, I don't trust you.
He better
I
turn
feel like
gospel.
you lying.
He need to turn gospel. But I will say this though, I don't like. I feel bad for the little boy in a way. You know what I mean?
Why, Crystal?
And this is why. Let me break this down.
Nigga need a hug.
He needed a little hug because he was not ready for that lifestyle. He hopped in too fast, and them giving him the confidence boost that he needed had him out here thinking that he could not be touched. And that in itself is a problem. That boy was not a gangster. Before all this popped off, he was definitely not a gangster. You understand? He was working at like Quiznos or Chipotle or something like that. Starbucks. That boy had been a barista or something. You understand what I'm saying? He was not out here being like no tough guy in the streets or whatever the case is. And they took him under their wings and gave him all this safety and comfort, like he been a whole gangster. And then now he online being a troll, and now he out here talking about he about to fly here and he gonna pull up on somebody. No, you're not. No, you're not gonna pull up on nobody, pumpkin. You need to sit down. And you out here doing all this crazy shenanigans, and then now you get caught up in a situation that you don't know anything about because that's not the lifestyle that you're in, but you're trying to be in that lifestyle because that's what you rap about. I just think that the people that rap nowadays, you have, let me put it like this. So you have like your T.I.s, your Yo Gottis, your Gucci, Jeezys, all those people, Jay-Z's, they have lived that lifestyle and put themselves in positions to have labels and stuff like that, so that the younger generation don't have to go out and try to be rappers. I mean, not try to be rappers, but they don't have to be gangsters and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because those things have already been done. That's just like we don't have to go out and march for civil rights, and we don't have to go out and march for voting rights because it's already been done. Someone has already paved that path for us, and that's what I feel like they need to start looking at rap music as. Someone has already paved that path. You don't have to go out there and put yourself in the same situation that they put themselves in to make the same type of music. And at the end of the day, to be completely honest with you, the people that listen to the music the most
are white
kids in the suburbs.
Vicariously through you.
Living vicariously through the music that you make. So at the end of the day, the niggas in the hood, they're not listening to this. They're not listening to 6ix9ine with pink hair.
Listen, a hood nigga will dissect a lyric. How the fuck you out here? How can you how you out here selling the bird for that much when during the time frame that you dropped the album, this is what birds was going for at the time. There's no way you could have flipped that and actually made money. Like a real hood nigga will dissect the fuck out of that shit.
So it doesn't make sense. Like these younger kids are coming along and they're making music and stuff like that, and I think they feel like they have to be in that lifestyle to be able to rap about that lifestyle. But we as a culture have stopped. We need to stop putting that pressure on people that just want to come out here and make music because they might aspire to be this type of person. They shouldn't have to go through that same lifestyle, because at the end of the day, that's what T.I. and Jay-Z and all of them did that for, so that they can pave the way and make opportunities for other black young men coming up under them that just want to make music. You understand what I'm saying? And I know people are like, oh, well, if they rapping about it, then they need to be about it. No.
Like, but I also feel like you shouldn't glorify the lifestyle that you've never had to live. Because the one thing, I'm going to be honest with you, I've learned, I dated somebody for a time frame, right? And that person, like, glorified that hood gangster lifestyle. But that person was put into a position to where they never had to be in that lifestyle. And then I met someone else who, unfortunately, due to the circumstance, didn't have a choice, had to go out there and make that shit shake however they had to, whatever. And it made sense to me. I feel like nobody actually wants to be a dope boy. Nobody wants to be out here selling drugs and risking their freedom and things of that nature. But if it come down to it, if it means the difference between their mama having a place to lay their head and being able to feed themselves and their family, things of that nature, they do what they gotta do. Or whatever, because they don't have an option. Whereas there's people who have options out here and glorify the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, real hood niggas don't glorify the lifestyle.
This is true. This is absolutely true. But I agree with what you're saying. I just feel like if people are, at the end of the day, it's just music. There's a lot of times that people be out here singing about, oh, broken heart, and oh, me and my boo, and this and that. Bitch ain't got first boo. You understand? Out here single as she wants to be.
Out here crying about a broken heart and got a baby that ain't the next.
And got a whole baby at home. So I feel like the same standards we allow R&B artists to make their music and, you know, perfect their crafts and stuff is the same thing that we should do for hip-hop artists, and stop making them feel like they're put in a position where they have to live a lifestyle that they don't want to be in, and they can just make the music. I mean, at the end of the day, shit, you bop into it. Just bop to the music and be done with it. It's a fucking song. And the crazy thing is, some of these kids will go out here, Bobby Shmurda, for example.
They out here, both of them niggas.
You go out here and you make this music,
and shit.
And you've been real life doing these things, and then now you out here rapping about it, and now you locked up.
You in prison.
Exactly. Now your career
is
pretty much
convicted of a murder.
Still, like, you're done.
That shit dead. Ain't no way you can bounce back.
Exactly.
First of all, Bobby Shmurda was good, I guess, but
he was good, and he was on the come up.
They definitely didn't have the longevity to where a prison stint is going to sustain them.
Yeah,
they're going to definitely be out here eating top ramen.
Top ramen.
and making bitches fall in love to send them money.
I mean, and you can base your information even just on what Meek Mill says. Like, at no point that's a situation that he wants to be in. You know what I mean? So I think that we as a culture, like I said, we need to reflect on something like that and stop putting that pressure on people that want to be hip-hop artists to make them feel like this is a lifestyle that you have to lead if you want to rap about this type of things. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if they don't rap about that type of things and they rap about like a Soulja Boy out here who making bop and dance to it music, then you're like, oh, he whack, or he this, or he that. Like, we're such tough critics on our own people.
I agree.
And it's not the other way around. You know what I mean? It's bad enough that we have to have criticism from everybody else, and then for us to criticize each other I think that sucks.
Because, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Look at Jay-Z's progression. Yes, of course. You know what I'm saying? In the beginning of his career, he talked about selling crack and things of that nature because that's what he was doing at the time.
Yeah.
But as he grew and progressed, he doesn't talk about those things anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? This nigga out here talking about credit.
Exactly.
And being a faithful husband and being a good father and things of that nature because he's progressed as a person, as a man. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I just wish a lot of the people who consume the genre of music will understand that it becomes a progression. Like, there are certain things that I bop to at 20 that at 30 it's not as appealing to me because I understand it differently, because I understand life differently.
Yeah.
And things of that nature.
To be completely honest with you, the way Jay-Z is able to transition in what he raps about, everyone can't do that. Everyone can't do that because they don't have that same clout behind their name. Like, generally, people that are conscious rappers aren't aren't even looked at in that
Right.
light, because you have somebody like a Rhapsody,
Right.
and she, I mean,
there's
she gets,
a lot of people who don't know who
she's
the hell
been out-
Rhapsody is.
exactly, and she's been out here for a minute,
Right.
you understand, perfecting her craft, but she will not get as much airplay as like a City Girl or a Meg Thee Stallion or whatever the case is, because they're
Cardi.
talking about something that the media wants to portray black women as. You understand?
Like, not
they-
as if we're like, let's be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if you necessarily listen to a lot of Solange Knowles music,
Mhm.
but Solange is a soul singer
Mhm.
or whatever. She's different from Beyonce, but she's a soul singer.
Mhm.
She has a lot of very impactful songs and things
Mhm.
of that nature.
She's kind of, her music is to me, her music is very reminiscent of India Ari's music.
correct.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't even pay her any attention.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever, because she's not Beyonce.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but if you like the great thing is Beyonce, because of who Beyonce is, she's allowed her little sister her own lane to be as creative as she wants to be.
Yeah.
You
That's
feel
a
what I'm
positive
saying?
thing. Absolutely.
And it's a beautiful, man. Listen, I listened to Solange's most recent album, and man, I was taken aback
Yeah.
by just the soul, like that shit had touched me in a different way.
You got feelings type of way?
Yeah.
You're feeling a little way.
You know I'm low key sensitive.
Yeah,
you
you
know what I'm saying?
sensitive. Yeah, you sensitive.
You know?
You were crying.
I mean, a couple little songs, you know what I'm saying? hey.
You shed a couple tears. You know what
You
I mean?
Hey.
Real niggas cry. You know what I mean?
All I know. I don't know what you're talking about. I ain't cry. Shit was straight.
You're so
Shit was gangster. That's all I know.
Oh my goodness. But
It
either
was-
way,
I was
I definitely
emotional.
think that yeah, we just need to take a look at how we put pressure on people when they want to do a career in certain
Mhm.
things. And I think that's kind of the situation that Tekashi was placed in. That's not the lifestyle that he lives, but he was placed in a situation where, okay, my music is popping, but it's popping because of this aspect of it. So this is what I need to live, and this is how I need to behave. But you're not built for that, and that's okay.
Right.
That is okay. I need people to learn to be okay with who they are. Like, not everyone is built for that lifestyle, and not everyone is made for that lifestyle. And because you're not, that doesn't make you less of a person. That just makes you you. You know?
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. It's not, I mean, be who you are and be comfortable with who you are.
Mhm.
And, I feel like people would love that about you more so than anything else.
Absolutely. I agree. So the next thing in 2019 that kind of, which I'm so sick and tired of talking about. Let me put that out there. Put that damn disclaimer out there before, first and foremost. Robert Kelly.
Yo,
Oh, my God.
I want to be honest with y'all. So, we listened to the R. Kelly Admitted song, right? We got maybe like a minute and a half through the
I
song,
thought
right?
for sure.
And we both kind of braced ourselves because it was transitioning to a lyric. Which, swear to God, we both at the same time thought
Looked
that
at
nigga
each
was
other,
about to say,
and it was-
I fucked a couple kids.
Like, I swear, Tasha, it's
And my heart sunk.
I was
Crystal
like, I had never heard the song, so it scared me. When I tell you, it scared me like for real, because I had never heard the song until you played it, and it said whatever it was. I can't remember the first verse leading up to it, but whatever it was, it rhymed with children.
Yes.
And I thought he was about to say he slept with a lot of children. I was like, oh my God, who didn't catch this? Where's the DA? Where everybody at?
I was looking at, we were both like, what the fuck is
About
this
to
shit?
happen.
This nigga is about to openly admit this shit, on fucking, on wax? Like,
Girl.
what the fuck?
Girl.
And we both, and I stopped it, a minute, maybe 15 to 30 seconds later, and we both looked at each other and said, yo,
Girl,
I thought that nigga was about to say, I fucked a couple kids.
Yes, I did.
And I was like, what the
Oh my
fuck?
God, that was scary. So just a little bit of insight on R. Kelly. If y'all don't know who
He's
R.
a
Kelly is,
prevert.
I'm pretty sure everyone knows exactly who R. Kelly is. He has about 10 counts of sexual misconduct
Jesus.
with a minor from the age of 13 to 17. All this happened around 1998 through
Jesus.
2010. He has child pornography charges, kidnapping charges, sexual abuse charges. Yeah, he's a whole hot mess.
He's a pervert. I just want to put out there, in my personal belief, I believe R. Kelly is a sexual predator, and that shit ain't okay.
No, not at all. He is definitely somebody I think that we should leave in 2019. I remember at the top of the year, like maybe a day or 2 days into the year, I was on Facebook and I saw a post about R. Kelly. I said, so this is what I wrote under the post. I said, so this is something that we definitely need to leave in 2019. Next subject, please. Period. Point blank, like that. Like, I am so tired of hearing about him. I am so over him. I am so over the situation. It has been something that has been so prolonged. Even just hearing I guess not testimony, but like pretty much confessions from his bodyguards and, people in his circle about him going to his first court case back in the day, and then him meeting some little girl at the court. Like, he has no regard for the law or for anything. And I just think, like, it's a whole hot mess, period. Like, he has a trial set for April of this year.
Yeah, April.
And he has no bond at this point. I just think the whole thing just needs to throw the whole damn man in the trash.
I'll say this as well. There are a lot of people who spent their careers covering for R. Kelly and making his actions okay. And I'm going to be honest. On top of R. Kelly going to prison, every last one of those motherfuckers should go to prison as well.
Strongly agree.
You guys absolutely 100% aided and abetted a sexual predator.
Absolutely.
There are certain parents that should go to prison. At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? I don't have any biological kids or whatever. I have a lot of children that are close to me or whatever the case may be. I'm very particular as far as they are concerned. And some of you motherfuckers, like, allowed R. Kelly to be in the presence and things of that nature of these little children who are easily influenced or whatever, and you were okay with it, knowing that he was a sexual predator. And I knew, because they just posted the new R. Kelly, Surviving R. Kelly Part 2, but when the Surviving R. Kelly Part 1 came out, or whatever, they talked about how he was sexually assaulted. Or whatever. That's a fucking excuse. I'm sorry, that is a goddamn excuse. If anything, because you've been violated and because you know what that shit feels like, you want to protect other people, but you decided to put that shit on other kids.
Exactly. And at no point, like, there are many, I'm going to look up the exact statistic, but there are a lot of people out here that have been sexually assaulted as children. At no point does that turn them into a sexual predator. So for you to make that as if it's the end all to be all, and that's the reason why, or whatever the case is, and you want sympathy behind that, and because of that, that's not okay. It's not acceptable. For me, I can't accept an answer like that. I know personally, I let my kids know I definitely don't expose my kids to him, his music, his art, anything like that. But I definitely tell them that there are people out there that are manipulative. There are people out there that will try to hurt kids and try to make kids, kind of do what they want them to do and make them seem like they're for them, and they're really not. I tell my kids that all the time. And at any point, my kids point blank know that they don't talk to adults. Adults don't need to talk to them. They don't need to talk to adults. The only adults you talk to is your teacher, and that's on a academic level. If there's anything outside of academics, then there's no reason for you to be talking to your teachers. They need to talk to me. If they have a question, if they have a comment, if they have a concern, whatever the case is, then they need to speak to me, not to you as a child, because at the end of the day, you are just that, a child. And you can't always comprehend the things that they may say or the intent behind the things that they say, and that's my job to interpret that stuff,
right,
not yours. And as far as he is concerned, my kids don't even, the only person that knows who he is Kamari, and she only knows because she goes to school with kids that know about his music, discuss him. They have like their phones and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But as far as Zion's like, who's that? Nobody. He's an absolute nobody. There's no reason for you to research him. Just know that people out there that are manipulative, there are people out there who don't always do the right thing, And those people are the people that I keep you away from at the end of the day. And he is one of those people. Like I said, he has his trial set for April of this year. And I think
I hope they put him under the jail.
Yeah, he is definitely somebody I want to leave in 2019. But because his trial is this year, I guess I don't even want to talk about it. To be honest with you, I don't even want to talk about the trial.
We're going to put an embargo. So after today, after we see how we feel about R. Kelly, today,
that's it.
We won't discuss him again.
Not at all. I can give to whatever less once he is convicted of what he's done, and I'm just over it. Like, even on the Gayle King interview that he had, he started out
pretend like to be a fucking victim.
Girl, he started out by saying that the blogs are lying.
Man, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you.
And he broke no laws.
If I was Gayle King, I would probably have spit in that nigga face. But I would have probably
and then him popping up and having a whole tantrum
because he's a pervert and he doesn't understand.
Exactly. Like, get out of here. I will say this. There's one thing in his whole thing that I agreed with. And that was him saying that there are real girls out here being held against their will. And there are a lot of black young girls who are being kidnapped and held against their will and sold into sex trafficking, and it's not something that is made. It's not put on the forefront.
Like Sally Johnson can be kidnapped, and it'll be all over life.
Absolutely, you have an Amber Alert. And
but Shaniqua Jenkins, they don't even talk about it.
Absolutely not. And there are so many black girls that are missing, and they've been sold into sex trafficking, and you feel like nothing has been done about it. And me personally, I don't even let my kids go outside like that unless I'm with them. To be completely honest, like, we live in a neighborhood where they can go to the park or to the pool or whatever the case is. But if I am not with them, they're not going.
No.
Period. My mom lives in the country, and I don't even feel comfortable with them going outside in the country because things are so crazy. Like, even around the corner from where we live, in the next city or whatever the case is, someone just posted something on Facebook about them being at the gas station or whatever the case is, and guys watching them, and then I guess they did something with the gas pump, and they started feeling weird or whatever the case is, and then the guy started following them. It's just too much. It's just at the end of the day, it's just too much, and it's sad that you can't trust people or even your environment, an environment that you may have very well grown up in. You know what I mean? So, as far as he is concerned, I'm over him. I'm over his issues. I'm over his whole situation. He just needs to kind of fade away into the dark. I don't see how at any point any of this is going to be resolved. Like, a lot of the things that he was saying on his interview with Gayle King, I heard what he was saying, but I don't believe him. I just don't believe him. Period. It's not. I just don't. Period. That's it.
I'm as far as R. Kelly is concerned, my only response is, may God have mercy on his soul.
Absolutely. And with that said, on to the next.
All right. May God have mercy on his soul.
On to the next.
On to the next topic.
Exactly. So the next thing, when it comes to relationships and stuff in 2019, the relationship with T.I. and his daughter. Oh gosh, that was a toughie.
That's tough.
That was a toughie. So if you don't know, back in November of last year, T.I. was on Ladies Like Us podcast, and they had asked the question, I guess, about virginity or something along those lines, and his daughters or whatever the case is, or parenting or whatever. And he pretty much said that. So his daughter, was it Deja?
Deja.
She is currently 18 years old, which is of legal age, to do kind of whatever it is you want to do. But he was saying, like, when she was younger, they always had annual gynecologist visits. He said generally it's the day after, or a day or two after her birthday. And they take a trip to the doctor's office to pretty much check her hymen, in a sense. That she said that's odd. Jesus. He continued on to say how if the people ask them about, I mean, the doctor would say, oh, she has to sign something. He's like, oh, well, Deja, is there anything you don't want me to know? Whatever. Okay, sign the paper. And then pretty much asking the doctor, is her hymen still intact? Now, this comment from T.I. kind of set the internet on fire. Everybody was like up in arms and they feelings about it, and all this other stuff. And when I heard it originally, I was like, I mean, I don't know. I guess I didn't take that big of offense to it. And I didn't, because she's a minor, you know? And just with the R. Kelly thing, just like, I mean, you would think that people are removed from certain things because of their financial status. But things happen. So when he said it, this is what my thought process was. Well, I don't think it's a problem because she's a minor. What if she's in a situation where she's being touched by someone, either family or at school or whatever the case is, and she's afraid to come to him and tell him that, and he doesn't find out until he takes her to the doctor? Then that's a conversation that they can have and it can be stopped, versus her waiting until she's well into her 30s and she feels the confidence to come and tell him. Now, with that being said, I understand that the hymen can be dislodged for a number of different reasons, right, or whatever the case is, right? I understand that. But in the same time, that was my original train of thought. She's a minor. She's not of age of consent. So if it is removed and that is the case, maybe it is a conversation that needs to be had. You know what I mean? And in the same time, a lot of times that may very well have not been something that is out of the norm for their household. People have different normals in their household. You know what I mean? So for them, that might have been something that he's done with even Tiny's daughter. You know what I mean? It might have just been something that they do, and it's not something out of the normal, but because it's publicized, then it seems weird or not normal, or something that someone else has an opinion on, when it very well may be something that is normal within their household. Because just watching, and I don't know this man from a can of paint now, but just watching them on their show, T.I. seems to be that dominant male figure in the household. He's not like the pushover or yes man type of guy. You know what I mean? He has that dominant authority type personality, and I can see him wanting to provide and protect and, you know, being in the know on everything. And I'm not at all giving him a pass or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, I see that from him, and I don't see it in a malicious way. How do you feel about that? Tasha hit you popcorn, y'all.
Okay, so to be honest with you, I feel like I'm kind of in a catch-22 situation, right? So on one hand, I definitely get what you're saying, Crystal, or whatever, about just wanting to be a protective dad and making sure that, like, your child isn't being violated and things of that nature, and she's comfortable and A, B, and C. But I also feel like King and Damani or whatever, and just in watching the Family House or whatever, when they were like 13, 14, 15, he was okay with them being sexually active. That wasn't an issue or problem. Now, a lot of times, yes, we're very protective of our daughters and sexual assault, but you know, our sons are also vulnerable to sexual assault.
This is true.
And that was never an issue for him to say, oh, you know, my sons could be sexually active at 13, 14, 15, but my daughter, it's an issue for me. That's a problem. And I think it's more so of a misogynistic viewpoint than anything else in the situation. And that's what bothers me the most. I see if, like, you was, like, you know, going and making sure all of your children up at least until the age of 18 weren't sexually active, and if they were sexually active, you were asking questions to make sure they were good. But you're just doing it to your daughters. Your sons could be sticking their pee-pee in any and everybody, and that's okay.
Fall off.
Exactly, like, you know, a penis can fall off, from what I heard.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. I tell Zion that all the time. I definitely tell him that all the time. Say, hey, and he's only 11, but I want to instill that in him early.
Shit can fall off.
Don't stick it any old way because it'll fall off. I say, if you ever talk to a girl and the bitch don't sleep with sheets on her bed, she nasty. Leave her right there. Because your peanuts gonna fall off. Those are real life facts. If you go to the town and she ain't got no fucking sheets on her bed and just the comforter, she nasty. Don't fuck with her.
What if she don't have the fitted sheet, but she's got a sheet? She got a blanket on top, and then she sleep underneath another blanket.
No, that bitch dirty. You better not do that. If that bitch, if she don't have a mattress cover, a fitted sheet, a flat sheet, she can have a blanket if it's cold. If it ain't cold, she can just have a comforter. That bitch don't have in that order. That's problematic.
Oh, yeah, I ain't a nasty bitch. Things like
Yeah.
I got all that, but I still.
Yeah,
she gonna talk all that.
She got a whole problem. You better not. You end up with something. I tell Zion that all the time. And that's just me looking out for him. I trying to make sure he's on the right path in life.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. I think that's good things to teach your son.
Yeah, there's certain things you gotta instill in each sex. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like in the boys, you gotta have them to be on the lookout for certain things, and then on the girl end, you got to make sure that you tell them, like, you know, make sure they carry themselves in a particular way. I mean, boys, you got to teach them how to carry themselves too.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just don't be out there sleeping
Absolutely.
with everything or whatever the case is. But yeah,
Be particular, you know, about the young ladies that, like, with boys. I feel like some women, and it tends to be insecure women who ain't about nothing, who take pleasure in their sons, you know, sleeping with any and everything. But a real woman's going to teach her son what another real woman looks like or whatever. Absolutely. And what to look out for, and they'll know, okay, this is a real woman versus this isn't, you know, and be able to move forward from there and find that right person and be able to treat, you know,
themselves, women
differently than hoes.
There you go. That's the word. Oh goodness. But anyway, T.I. So he eventually went on to Jada Pinkett's Red Table Talk. Yeah. I love her show. So I think she started that back in 2018.
I think so, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
But she has done, I think, phenomenal work with the show, and I think him going on that show was a positive thing because it didn't allow. She is so honest, and so like her personality is so genuine.
Right.
When people are on there, it's not like, even though they're interviews that she's conducting, it's not like she's conducting an interview where she can get that moment.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like she
with
talks
something
to
for the
friend.
blogs. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I think him going on there, allowing him to speak, and her being able to give her opinion on the situation, and then have a good dialogue, you know, with the issue at hand, I think was a positive thing. Because I mean, I'm sure there were plenty of blogs that were like, or what do they call, interviewers or whatever, that were waiting to have, you know, get an interview with him.
Absolutely.
And wanting to get him on the spot to make him say something even more messed up or whatever the case is. And I think that him going on her show was a positive thing. Allowing him to kind of express himself and express the situation and tell exactly where he was coming from and how it wasn't something in a malicious way. And like you said one time before, I don't think it was an issue of what he said for the family, but because it was something that was put out in the public. It shouldn't have been something that was publicized.
Like, people absolutely were disrespectful and saying things to her and things of that nature that I'm sure she wasn't ready to deal with. Just because T.I. is T.I., Tiny is Tiny, they're used to dealing with that, but their kids, you know, aren't used to dealing with that type of public criticism and people saying crazy things to them.
Because they protect them from that, and then because they're getting older, it's a little different. And like I said, it's their, it might have been their household norm, but putting it out in the public made it uncomfortable for her, made her placed in an uncomfortable position. Like she may have never had an issue with it. You know what I mean? Just like he said that she signed the papers when the doctor asked or whatever the case is, because it wasn't an issue. You know, it was something that they were used to doing. It wasn't something outside of their normal, but because it was something that was publicized, it became a bigger issue than what she was ready to deal with. And I guess I will say this. I appreciate him for like when it originally happened, he didn't have anything to say about it because at the end of the day, it was something between him and his daughter, and he could care less about what the media had to say. Nowadays, a lot of people care about what the media has to say, so they can form their lives to meet some type of public standard.
Right.
And he didn't really care about it until not he didn't care about it. He didn't respond to the media until he got the okay from his daughter, which who was the real important person in the situation.
It's like when his daughter reached out to him like, hey, they coming at me crazy, I need you to speak about the situation. He was like, oh, I have to be a father and protect my child at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I think to a certain extent, you know, T.I. regretted his comments after the fact. I know he'll probably never like openly admit it, but I think he regretted his comments after the fact.
And he said something similar to that, just because he wasn't as knowledgeable on the subject as he thought he was, you know. So I think he kind of regrets that. I know he definitely regrets just putting it out in the public like that.
Right, because I don't think he assumed. Right, I don't think he assumed that like yeah, they can hate on T.I. all day long. I don't think he realized that they was going to come at his daughter the way they did.
Yeah.
And that's what caused the issue really for him, is that they came at his daughter. And, you know, as a father, yes, T.I. I feel like has a lot of misogynistic viewpoints, but he's a father at the end of the day, and his number one priority is his children. So I can never knock a man for doing the right thing by his children first and foremost.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was one of the top things in 2019. Like I said, I'm glad he went on Jada Pinkett's Red Table Talk and got a chance to clear the air and, you know, get the information out there, and his apology and his I guess his whole mindset behind the entire thing, and that it wasn't something malicious on his end, and that he knew that he spoke about it in an uneducated viewpoint, because he didn't know much about it. So I guess, I mean, you can definitely appreciate something like that when somebody's willing to step up and you know, admit their mistakes.
I made a mistake.
Exactly, and willing to learn and grow from the situation. On to the next thing in 2019, Jussie Smollett. And
you're talking about Juicy Smollett? If you don't know who Juicy Smollett is, he is a French actor, and he happens to be gay.
Oh goodness. So he definitely had a lot going on. There's so many things to cover in 2019, and not everything can be covered in the hour and 30 minutes that we have on this show. But let me tell you who covered it all. Dave Chappelle.
Facts.
In his stand-up. Oh my God. I love Dave Chappelle. I love his type of stand-up. I love his style of comedy. I like that when you listen to his comedy, you have to think, you have to be conscious of what's going on in the world. I just love his stand-up altogether. Dave Chappelle has been out here for a minute. He ain't just popped on the scene yesterday or nothing like that. He's been out here. I think Dave Chappelle has been doing comedies, doing
like
movies
15,
and stuff.
20 years.
Girl, like since 1993 or something like that. I remember him in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
So that'd be 1993 to 2003 is 10 years. 2003 to 2013 is 20. Shit, almost fucking 30
Girl,
years.
yeah, he has been out here for some time and making me laugh the whole time.
I always, like, I ain't gonna lie, like, even like the dish, like, man, I always found that shit to be hilarious.
He has always been crazy. He had the Chappelle Show from, 03 to 06. So,
yeah.
I mean, I think he's had like 3 Netflix stand-ups.
Back to back, like 3 Netflix stand-ups back to back.
And all of them hilarious. Like, when I tell you, on the couch, rolling.
Like, I don't lie, like, my favorite one is the one, it was a really small audience. He was sitting on a stage, it looked like a really small stage, and he was smoking, because I guess he's a smoker or whatever. He was smoking on a stage, and like, I just saw that shit, and I was like, hey, that nigga's fucking hilarious.
Yes, he is.
That nigga said the realest shit I think I ever heard in my life. When he was talking about the opioid crisis.
That was in the most recent one. Mm-hmm.
And, and he was talking about how, hey, I feel the same way about the opioid epidemic as white folks felt about the crack rocks. I don't give a fuck.
So that's their business.
Hey, because black people out here addicted to opiates.
Thanks.
It's wealthy white folks.
Exactly.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck either. You understand? That's how you felt about it. Listen, and oh my goodness. He talked about R. Kelly. He talked about Juicy. He talked about Bill Cosby. He talked about the opioid crisis. All these types of things. He talked about the LGBT community. Girl, he talked about everything and everybody. It was so controversial. And the thing that got me the most is people. Okay, so like I said, he's not a new comedian out here in the streets. He's been out here for some time, and people are out here like all up in arms over his comedy. So it's a Netflix special. You in the comfort of your own home. You can or you cannot watch the show. No one told you to click on that man's damn face if you feel a type of way.
Like,
now you upset.
Like at any point in time, if you take a look at any of Dave Chappelle's stand-up, has he been LGBT sensitive? I guess that's the best way to explain it.
Fuck LGBT, politically sensitive. Like, he does not care.
He say whatever
he wants to say, and he's unapologetically funny. Period. Like, I think he is hilarious. Like, the shit that he says. I'm not offended at all. Can't wait for him to do another stand-up.
I agree. Like, I ain't gonna lie, man. Dave Chappelle is funny. He's funny. He makes me laugh every time. Like, anytime, like when he had the 3 stand-ups that came out pretty much back to back on Netflix.
Yeah,
I watched all 3, and all 3 were hilarious.
Absolutely, because there's so much content. I mean, so much things that happen in the world. The content is like it's just there for the taking.
All the controversial issues, and he didn't mind touching on them. And didn't care who was offended.
Exactly. And I enjoyed every minute of it. But the only thing I didn't enjoy, people that are going out there watching the doggone thing as if they don't know who he is or what his stand-up is about. And then expecting him to apologize for some of the comments that he made. No one told you to sit down and watch the whole thing.
Nobody sent for Dave Chappelle.
If you didn't like it at any point, you could always pick up your remote
and change that channel.
And change, not even the channel. Just go back to the home screen on Netflix. You didn't have to do that. No one told you to continue watching. You know, that was your decision. Dave Chappelle, his thing was awesome. Another thing in 2019, Tyler Perry in his studio.
That was all, man. Listen, when I saw the footage,
so great.
Goodness,
so great. I am so happy for him.
I'm so happy for, and then the fact that like it used to be a military installation where like they held like, you know, POWs and runaway slaves and things, and the fact that like this black man owns it, it was a prideful moment for the African American community.
Absolutely. So I definitely hope he continues to do big things. You know they're recording. I don't think they're done recording Coming to America, the remake of that. But they also did the movie with Will Smith, Bad Boys.
Yeah, they did that. Yeah, the next episode. Yeah, the next part of Bad Boys.
So, and that comes out on tomorrow, Friday. Yeah. So both of those things were filmed there. They had like a photo on like a video on Facebook or whatever with them and Eddie Murphy and all that stuff like that, which I thought was so freaking awesome. They were just talking about how many influential black people were there, you know, to support him and who were invited to the opening of it. And I'm like,
I feel like everybody who was anybody was there that night.
Absolutely. So that was another positive thing that happened in 2019. And the positive thing in the black community, which I love positive things that happen in the black community because I'm black. Oh gosh. So trash the treasure.
Ugh.
These are things that started off great and ended up being a whole damn mess. Popeye's chicken sandwich.
I don't eat fried chicken, so I never eat that shit. It didn't do anything. I've never, actually, to be perfectly honest with you, I've never eaten Popeye's chicken before.
Really? So I've had Popeye's chicken before, but about 2 years ago, I saw this video on Facebook, and y'all know I don't like to see nasty things. And this was at the time before they had that little privacy thing where, like, if the video is disgusting, it'll have something where you can you can see it, and it just shows the video.
Right.
So they had the video, and I clicked on it, of course, before reading any captions or whatever the case is, as I do. And this person has a chicken. It's a Popeye's chicken. You can tell it's a Popeye's box or whatever. And they open the chicken. In the chicken, maggots. Like a cooked chicken.
That's the blackest shit ever.
Nasty. Tasha, when I was like, never again. From that day forward, you ain't have to ever. I don't even want a biscuit. I don't want anything from there. I thought it was the nastiest thing I'd ever seen. I said, no, ma'am, not me, never again. And for them to now come out with the chicken sandwich, and even on Facebook, you see videos and photos of them in the kitchen with the chicken sandwich. They have the chicken tray with the chicken sitting on top of the trash can.
That's the most how's that?
But you want a chicken sandwich, devil. The devil is a liar. I said, no, ma'am. People out here cursing out their whole mama over a chicken sandwich.
Stabbing motherfuckers.
Stabbing people. Sandwich. This one boy slammed this fucking. Oh my god. When I tell you that fucking boy slammed that lady talk. Oh my god. Hell yeah, it's not even funny.
Hey, the way they body slammed that young lady, that old lady, that shit was funny. That shit was terrible, but it was funny.
That was the worst thing ever. I mean, he slammed that lady so freaking hard. I was like, oh my goodness.
My back had started to hurt when I watched that shit.
That shit was tragic, to say the least. Oh my goodness. Popeye's chicken sandwich definitely was a treasure that turned trash. They started out with it in what? April? No, what was it? November? No. When did they start coming out with it at first?
I think it was April, and then it ran, or September, and then they ran out. Then they relaunched it in November, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. That was a mess. They just all the way around. After the lines were crazy, people were running out and doing just extremely too much. So that was a positive thing. It's still on the menu or whatever, but I don't think it has the same hype.
Right.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing. I think that's a positive thing. I think it needs to kind of stay in 2019.
I 100% agree.
That's definitely something that needs to stay in 2019.
I don't eat fried chicken. So.
Another treasure to trash was the last topic on our thing for tonight. Hot girl summer. Definitely a treasure to trash. When it first came out.
Listen, what is it? What? January 14th, or excuse me, 16th right now. Bitches I hate break.
All pregnant from a hot girl summer.
Hey, and don't know who the fuck they baby daddy is. You out here having a whole hot girl summer. You know who the fuck your baby daddy is.
Don't know. You don't know. Because you out here want to have
you better call Maury. You heard Maury. That ain't my little buddy. That baby don't look like me. Nope. That baby don't look like me. Nope.
Oh my god. The song itself for me. I listened to it once. When I listened to it, I know that was not the song for me. That's not a song that I want my daughter to listen to. That's not something that I want my daughter to live her life by. She out here talking about fucking 9 to 5 niggas with the superstar D, and she a big old freak. It's a must that I hit. No. All of that is a problem for me. All of that is problematic and nothing that I want to be any parts of. And the crazy part is here. Now, this is a song from Meg Thee Stallion. I want y'all to be very clear. I'm not trying to hate on her or anything like that. I think that it's great that she is out here exploring her music career, and I'm glad that she's popping. But the thing that you're popping with is not instilling the right values in these young girls. Furthermore, it's not something that you live by your damn self. You out here talking about hot girl summer, and you whole booed up over the summer.
Big facts.
You got a whole boyfriend, but you hot girl summer in it. How, Sway? How?
Listen, it's because I feel like the problem is, or whatever, the fact that, this music is for wholesale. You get what I'm saying? Like, it isn't necessarily like some shit to live your life by. Whereas motherfuckers take it and live their life by that shit.
Absolutely.
Or whatever. And that's where the issue and the problem comes in. It's like, if you know what I'm saying, like, yeah, Meg Thee Stallion's booed up, but she out here talking about fuck these niggas, AMC, JC, and Young Miami out here talking about whatever, but both of them are in committed relationships as well, and happy and happy, and from what we can tell, healthy relationships. Like, it's not the way you should live your life. It's fun, it's great to listen to and bop to. But
when you have little girls, exactly. When you have little girls out here looking up and stuff like that, I think that's where the problem comes in, and it's just not okay. I just think that we hold the male rappers to a standard where they need to rap about, live what they rap about or whatever the case is. We don't hold the female rappers to the same standard. I think we should definitely take a look at things like that. Like, stop telling these girls to be out here being fat. And it wasn't like it was an uplifting song. My daughter tried to tell me, oh no, mommy, this is for boss chicks and this, that, and the third. You a boss chick because you out here sleeping with a dude for they check? No, honey, that does not make you a boss chick at
big
all.
Facts.
That does definitely not make you a boss chick. Going out and getting your own. Now that makes you a boss chick. I can agree to that, but that's
being
not
educated
what the song said.
and independent, like.
And that's the thing. Meg Thee Stallion is out here, and she said something in the song about a college girl, but a freak on the weekend. Like, you a college girl, but you should have just kind of stayed on that line and continued with the college thing instead of saying something else. Again, I'll say this. They're not conscious rappers, and they don't rap about things that are positive for young girls to aspire to. So
Absolutely.
personally, I don't like it. I don't let my daughter listen to it. Now, like a Rhapsody or something like that, yes, I will definitely allow my daughter to listen to her type of music or whatever the case is. But like City Girls and Meg Thee Stallion and stuff, I just think that they need to set a better example for the young girls. And a lot of the times when you say that to the rappers and stuff like that, especially female rappers, I know I've heard Nicki say it, they're like, well, I'm not trying to be nobody's role model. You know what I mean? You're not, but at the end of the day, those are your fans. I feel like you have a level of responsibility to your fans, and at the end of the day, I don't allow my kids to listen to it because I'm not that type of parent that's going to allow my kids to listen to whatever and allow the radio and the television to raise them. So they listen to what I allow them to listen to, and that's not something that I allow them to listen to. Anytime we listen to the radio in the car, anytime it comes on, boop, you just lost a listener.
But I mean, I feel like that's where the issue comes in at. Like, you have that spirit of discernment to where if something doesn't sound necessarily the right way and it's not a message you want your kids to listen to, you're able to change the radio, whereas a lot of other people don't have that same discernment to where they can maybe privately or listen to something but also know that their children don't need to listen to that and to consume that as well.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, let's be honest, you know what I'm saying, you and I, we're on this podcast or whatever, but at the end of the day, I'm 30 years old.
Yeah.
I'm no child's role model in any way, shape, or form. That's not my job. That's not my obligation.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want anybody to, listen to our podcast and think, oh, well, you say this and that, and my kid listens to it, blah, 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 blah.
That's
my
your
podcast
decision.
was never meant for your child
it definitely
to listen
says
to.
explicit.
Exactly, it definitely says explicit.
We say some
or
wild shit
whatever.
sometimes.
And it's the same thing with music. Like, at the end of the day, there's a lot of rappers and singers and things of that nature who their music isn't meant for children. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you have to be able to teach your kid. I feel like you specific. Only thing I know is you or whatever. You specifically, there's certain things you listen to, but there's certain things that you'll hear and you're like, that's not necessarily a message I want my kids to listen to.
Absolutely.
So you'll change the station to something else, whereas other parents don't do that and then get upset with the artist for what they're putting out. But at the end of the day, it was never meant for your kid to listen to.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, your child's biggest not supporter, but influence should be their parents first and foremost.
Absolutely. Because
when you teach your kid the right way instead of the wrong way, they'll understand it. And even in the Bible it says, at times you may stray, but they'll always come back to what what they've been taught.
Yeah.
And if you don't teach your kids shit and you expect these celebrities to teach your kids
exactly
things, how could you
media
ever
in the world to so you have to definitely be a strong role model in your children's life, and that's what I try to be. Definitely be a strong role model in my children's lives, because that type of activity and how to carry yourself and all that, that's no. Kamari knows I'm not with any of that. We don't do any of that, period. No, you conduct yourself accordingly, like a lady, and anything less is not acceptable, period.
Right.
So I think a lot of parents need to think about that. And I do wish this for the artists, that they would start putting out more positive, uplifting things for Black women in general. You know what I mean? Because
Absolutely.
it's like, I mean, you put these things out here, and then women are out here acting a certain type of way, and it's like
Thinking it's acceptable.
they think it's acceptable, and they think it's okay to carry themselves in that light, and all it does is diminish their own value, and it's saddening for me anyway.
I agree. I 100% agree. I mean, I feel like you can, but I also feel like it comes down to like that discernment. You get what I'm saying? Whereas like, you know, I love watching Love and Hip Hop. The shit is funny to me, or whatever, and a lot of other reality shows. But I also understand that, you know, it is television. You know, certain things aren't real. Certain things are, but I know how to like. There's certain things I would never do.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So it's about understanding who you are as a person, and not just consuming those things and thinking, oh well, I want to do A, B, and C, and I want to be a big celebrity like Nene or whoever the hell is on the TVs and things of that nature. And it's like, no, like if you raise your children to understand the difference between what comes on television and their own values and things of that nature, they'll go in the right way. Kids straight. It is what it is, but when you teach them the right way, they'll always come back to it.
Absolutely. So just some final thoughts for today. And I had this conversation with my daughter in the car this morning as we're going into school. Being yourself and being comfortable with who you are. A lot of times, especially in today's society where you have so many influence from social media, and just with the overpopulation of the world itself, you know, you have so many, like with schools being so crowded and everyone always trying to fit in. I told my daughter, always be comfortable with who you are, because if you are not comfortable with who you are and you find yourself conforming and trying to be something that someone wants you to be, you'll lose yourself. And a lot of times some people lose themselves and they don't find themselves until they're well into their 30s and 40s, and by that time you've lived a whole life that is not a reflection of who you are and not a reflection of your values and the things that you want out of life. So definitely always try to walk in your own truth and be who you are. Don't let someone else change you, or don't let other people's opinion of you cause it to change your opinion of yourself. You know, you're perfect just the way you are, regardless of what anybody thinks. And that's my final word for this evening, you guys.
All right, so my final thought is this meme I happened to come across on Facebook, and it resonated with me quite well. It says, I'm fixing me because sometimes I'm the problem. A lot of times, you know what I'm saying, when you deal with hurt and you deal with things in your life, we tend to blame everybody else for it. But it's okay to reflect and say, you know what, in certain situations, I'm not saying, oh, blame yourself for everything that went wrong, but in certain situations you have to be able to step back and say, you know, like, yeah, that person may have done wrong, but I also did A, B, and C to contribute to the situation. And that's okay to be able to look at yourself and realize your flaws and be able to fix those things to move forward. Nobody's perfect in this world, and that's okay. God didn't make us to be perfect. But with that being said, the most beautiful thing in the world you could ever do is reflection. Reflect on yourself on a consistent basis and realize that growth is important. And you growing and you learning who you are daily, you'll fall in love with yourself more frequently. And that's my final thought.
Thank you guys so much for joining us again. We appreciate it as always. Please be sure to
like and follow our Facebook page at IQ Queens, and that's IQQUEENS. Follow us on Twitter at IQ Queens, the number 1. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at IQ Queens, and you can email us anytime at IQQueens, number 1 at gmail.com.
Thank you guys. Again, we appreciate you as always. See you next time. Bye.